Hello and welcome back to the New Art Gallery podcast. It's been over a year since our last episode, so I'm especially excited to be here with you today. For those who are new, this podcast is all about shining a light on incredible artists, exploring their creative journeys and celebrating the ways art connects us all, whether that's through storytelling, technique, or the emotions a painting can stir in us. And what a way to return. My guest today is Minu Achrekar, an extraordinary artist based in Leeds in Northern England. Minu's work has been exhibited across the UK, India and beyond, with pieces held in collections from the USA to Norway. She's had 4 solo exhibitions, numerous group shows, and has raised thousands of pounds for charity through her art. In 2024, she completed a Mastery in Fine Arts from the Milan Art Institute, won a juried award from Leeds Civic Trust, and had a painting featured in the Leeds City Calendar. Most recently, she was named Artist of the Season for Spring 2025 in a curated London competition. Minu is passionate about alcohol inks, a medium she pushes to new limits by using hairdryers, straws, and syringes instead of brushes. Her landscapes, inspired by the Yorkshire countryside, and her travels are vibrant, nostalgic, and deeply rooted in the idea of nature as a healer. Her work is both playful and profound, blending metaphor with colour to evoke joy, peace, and reflection. I can't wait to dive into her creative process, her inspirations, and her journey as an artist. So let's get started. Minu, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me on your show.
No problem. It's great to have you here. So I think I've got a few things I want to ask you, but I think probably we'll start with just give us an introduction. Who are you? I know I touched on a few pieces there, but tell us about your personal journey or your journey into art, and we'll start there if that's okay.
Well, thank you. That was such a magnificent introduction. I myself was quite impressed. But actually, I have been painting for a number of years now, and it's all been gradual. So to hear it all the big milestones picked up by you, it really touched me also. So yes, in terms of my background, I'm originally from India, where I did my basic graduation, and then I came here, which was about 28 years ago, 29 maybe. And then I did a career in healthcare, and I have been doing that for a number of years. And about 10, 15 years ago, maybe, I picked up the brush again. So in school days, I did used to love painting, and my parents were both architects. And so the love of not just creativity, but having depth to the work was very much encouraged, depth in the sense that while others, school projects and school children were getting praised for just doing something, my paintings are always critiqued and improved upon. And there was something that I always got from my childhood years. And so I picked up the brush again about 10, 12 years ago, and just joined a local class in watercolors. And then I thought I'd done this already. I'd won a few prizes in school as well. So I thought I'll teach myself to do some acrylic painting. And that I did, and bought a canvas and an easel, felt very professional doing it. And I really enjoyed it. And so I went through to oil painting as well. And then I think just before the pandemic began in 2020, I had ordered a set of alcohol inks from USA. And that's because I had come across them on social media, and I thought, wow, this just looks amazing and wonderful. So I'd ordered them, and ordered a lot of alcohol, which you need as a diluent for it. And that arrived in March, and then the pandemic was declared literally the next week. So I had a lot more time than I normally would have. Even though I continued working full time, I still, we all sort of didn't commute for a while, etc. So it gave me more time. And I just was so taken and captivated by these inks. And luckily for me, I would say nobody else around me was doing them. I did not know anybody who was doing it or who would teach it. So that left me to develop my own techniques with it. And I decided that unlike acrylics and oils, I was going to treat them differently. I was going to not use any brushes. And so that gave me much more opportunity to innovate along the way. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's how I've been working more and more with these inks. And I would say that is what made me more known as an artist.
Mm.
So even though I was painting in acrylics, and my first solo show was in 2018, which was just with acrylic and oil paintings. And I had done that entirely to raise money for charity. And I did two such shows, and they had done well. But I would say, more or less doing realistic work or sort of imitating photographs of places I had traveled. It was more like, recreation, I would say. I had not really made that journey about my own work. And that happened with the advent of the alcohol inks in my portfolio, because they themselves are so abstract in nature. And it just spurred me on. It was the wind beneath my wings, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, and that has truly become your thing then. The
Yes.
alcohol inks, yeah.
Yeah, because then I felt that this was looking nice without having to look like another picture. I thought, oh, this is looking nice. Let me see what else I can do. And so I just developed it, and I felt quite confident about it. And like I said, nobody else was doing it. So I had no real image that this should look like this.
Of
So,
course.
yeah.
So you put your own stamp on it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So you're originally from India, but been in York. Have you been always been in Yorkshire the last sort of 28?
Years, did
Oh,
you
no,
say?
no.
Okay,
I think it was Hartlepool initially, then Newcastle,
right,
then
okay,
Darlington. And I lived in Darlington for about 10 years. And then I
okay,
came to Leeds about 18 years ago.
okay.
And both me and my husband, we work here. So I've been in this area for a long time now.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, most of my family are from Yorkshire, from Doncaster. I'm the black sheep of the family. I was born in Wigan in Lancashire, so there's a bit of a thing going on. I'm there. But Yorkshire landscapes, they do seem to be a major inspiration for your work. So, what is it about that? I mean, it's a beautiful part of the country. What is it about that natural landscape that draws you, and how does it show up in your work?
So I think I think, to be very honest, if I was not doing the inks, I would probably have done something different. So when I first started, I was doing cityscapes, right? So little towns or wherever I was traveling, I would take bits of it back and do paintings with it. But with the inks and the flow of the inks, it felt natural thing to do. And because I wasn't using brushes, I did not want to start doing too much to it. Um, but so that is how these flowing landscapes kind of came about. Because over the years and all these years, we have been traveling quite a lot. I've been to a number of countries in Europe, America, Canada, etc., etc., and we travel a great deal in England also.
Mm.
So my memories of things are always in my mind, and but when I'm with the painting as such, it's always an interaction between what the ink wants to do and what I want to bring, some distant memories or maybe just imaginary worlds as well. So that is how I became more and more of a landscape painter.
Mm.
And I think I was exhibiting in London last year, and I had taken some of my cityscapes, and so I had done a series on Venice. Um, and I was exhibiting that, and I was exhibiting a few of these landscapes. And two art galleries stopped me, and they really were fascinated by this, and one of them took me on. And a couple of years ago, another art gallery had shown interest in the landscape. So it was a case of working a little bit with the inks and what was anyway in my mind, but also what seemed to be well received by the world outside.
So you mentioned that you're going on from talking about the inks and things like that, and you were exploring techniques without brushes. So I think using straws and things like that. How
Yeah.
does that, how do those methods shape the outcome compared to more traditional methods?
Oh, so traditional methods, I think, I mean, like you mentioned, I have done a mastery in fine arts as well
Okay.
since this journey with inks began. So I know that you can have sort of unpredictable outcomes even with the use of a brush by doing different layers and stenciling and collaging. And so people do get some unexpected results.
Mhm.
Um, but I think there is still an agency there whereby the brush in your hand can dictate what you're going to do.
Mhm.
And, um, as long as you have the imagination, you can achieve it. Or as long as you have an image in your mind, what you want to do, you can achieve it. Might take you hours, days, weeks, whatever, but you could do it. With the inks, I think it is very unpredictable. First of all, they come like little drops from a dropper bottle, and then I have to put a lot of lab grade, like 99.9% alcohol in it, which is very high strength alcohol. So it goes all over the paper as such, and then suddenly evaporates as well. So there is a little um, unpredictability about the flow of that ink. And then if I was to use a straw or a hair dryer, that gives me some there are some tools to push it further in a way I might want to, but based on the amount of alcohol in it and all the inks, they individually also react slightly differently. So I'm also still finding things out. But they may not do exactly what you want them to do. They might do something different and completely wow, and you think, oh my God, that's beautiful. I'm going to keep that, right? Um, and so it can take you further than what you conceived of, because I don't think I'm that great at fully conceiving the whole piece. I might have thought 30-40%, this is what I want to do. As I'm doing it, there's another 30-40%, but the rest is with the magic of the inks. And I think there are some people who do use alcohol inks, but they use a brush, and then they're again trying to recreate a little bit of what they already know. So I think that diminishes the value. So I do it the other way. A bit like throwing an open house party and seeing who comes along, you know. and,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can have wonderful results because you get some unexpected wow guests, and they will be, that can happen. Yeah.
Then sometimes you have to took people out.
Yeah. Yes, you do. And that can happen, of course. So playing with the inks is not always going to be beautiful. They can be very messy or ugly also. If you mix, the color theory does apply, and you can make mud or you can make blotchy things. And you think, I don't know any painting. This is unacceptable. This is nightmare. You go away. But more or less, you can start afresh. You can put more alcohol in it and you can start afresh. And that actually reminds me, the other thing it has taught me is not only to go with the flow, but also to be satisfied with what you get as well. Because sometimes you can get this lovely display of colors and textures, and there in the corner it's not all perfect, or there's a clumpiness there, and then you think, well, with your with your thinking thinking cap on, you think, well, that's not the best thing over there, so let me change it. And in the past I used to, but then what happens is if you start changing it and you put alcohol there, it will start spreading to the rest of the work, and the alcohol can eat up that painting. It kind of removes that. So if you have a mistake with an acrylic painting or an oil painting, you can just go back to that corner and you can color over it and cover your mistakes. With this painting, if you are going to tackle any mistakes and you want to go back and do something, you have to be prepared that your whole painting might change. So it has taught me to be really use my discretion. Do I want to change this, or do I want, am I happy enough with the results? And I think that has helped me in life as well, because I'm no longer a perfectionist in my life. I'm like, okay, go with the flow. This is good enough.
No, that's very, I think, very uh living in the present, very spiritual. Some things are out of your control, right? And
Yeah,
you
it's
can
a
only, yeah.
plus or minus. It gave you some beauty this side. Just enjoy that bit.
Exactly. Focus on the beauty. Be grateful for the positives. I like it. I was gonna kind of ask you about your process and how that would, and I was going to say, how do you plan a painting? But I guess there's only so much planning you can do in
Yeah,
case of what you've
yeah,
described there.
yeah. I mean, you can
Oh,
plan your color palette, or you can plan, but still, I mean, first of all, I do it more as a recreation, to be honest. Every successful painting of mine has been done when I wanted to get away from regular work and wanted to do something nice. So I just select my colors on the day, and as it's coming along, I might add one or two more. So that much you can plan. And you can maybe plan, okay, I'm going to do a landscape rather than say, because sometimes I used to do animals and other things as well with the inks. So you can make those kind of decisions, but after that, it's like a process. It's like a train. It will go where it wants to go.
do what it wants.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, with that, I think I take a look at some of the pieces. I think, if that's okay.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
so this first one is called "The Life Within."
Yeah.
Um, just, I mean, I'll let you talk about it. Tell us a little bit about where you got the inspiration from. Whatever you want to talk about would be great. Just give us some insight into this piece.
Yeah. So this is like celebrating autumn, obviously. But if you can see the textures I've put right on the forest floor, that is what gave rise to that name, The Life Within. And I mean, I have loved doing trees for a while now and forest scenes. Um, Not entire scenes. This is probably my biggest forest project. But the idea of the forest shower is something I'm quite fascinated by. And this piece, it was more to denote that, even at the end of life, an autumnal tree is giving so much of color and vibrancy, and it's got so much life until new foliage is taking over, see, at the edges there. So it's like a cycle of life kind of painting, this one.
It's beautiful, and I think it's great because there's traditional autumnal colours, the fading of the green and the browns and the yellows coming through as we get further and further into autumn. Then I absolutely love the purples at the bottom, and you might not traditionally link them with autumnal colours, but it absolutely works, and just I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic.
I mean, we like you said, I live in Yorkshire, and we do go for a lot of walks in the Chevin area, etc., where you do get the bed over there, the forest bed, as it were, full of different colors. So purple is actually very much present in nature, I think, and I use it a lot in my paintings.
Yeah. Oh, well, I suppose, yeah, like the heathers and things like that, and that kind of
Yeah,
thing. No, I love it, and autumn is my favorite season. So there we go. Although at
yeah,
the moment it's absolutely blowing a gale and chucking it down. So, but there you go. Focus on the good. I'll focus on the positives.
absolutely.
Um, Excellent. So I think the next one I wanted to take a look
In
at.
that painting there, just to mention, I do these things without brushes, but then sometimes I use a little pen work to add some definition,
Okay,
because
yeah.
people might wonder how I got. So some of the main tree trunks I've got directly from the nozzle of the bottle, but then the thinner branches I've added with the use of a pen.
Excellent. So a pen just sort of scraping the paint along the canvas, or how is that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a traditional pen. It's like
Right.
you do get ink pens for this, and
Okay.
it, it is to be used very sparingly. There have been times when I've spoiled my work by adding too much pen, and I didn't like it. It wasn't spoiled, but I didn't like it. So this is
Okay.
optimum, I think, for it.
Yeah, perfect.
Not
I
too
think
much.
it works fantastic. It's an absolute success.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the next one I wanted to take a look at is this one, which again is it's got trees in. This is called Across the Distance.
Yes.
Um, yeah, tell us about this one.
Oh, it was such a fantastic painting. And what you see in the skies, that was actually like a champagne gold. And it's the photo that I can't capture the true image. The original sold in London just 3 months ago. So I don't even know how to go back and get a better picture. But anyway, so this was generally inspired by a walk we had to Golden Acre Park, which is quite close to where I am in Leeds. And there's a big lake there and some autumnal trees there, or rather winter trees. But the idea was about the the tree in the front sort of reaching out to the big tall tree at the back, and that's why I've said
Yeah.
across the distance. So at that time, I was also doing a series on reflections, and that was inspired by an exhibition I had in Canada on an online channel. And I did a number of paintings on the theme of reflections. And I thought so it was in my mind, and so I just put this sunset kind of thing. And I've not actually done too much in this painting. If I was to paint it with brushes, then it would have a very contrived effect, I think. But because I've done it with the inks and let them flow and I just added a little bit here and there. So if you see the little branches, that's all with the straws that I've done. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was the idea about us reaching to each other across the distance that is happening with us nowadays. We are all in our own, we are surrounded by information and knowledge, but not got that personal link like we used to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're able to connect um like never before, but really those connections aren't it's difficult to get sometimes to get meaningful connections, isn't it? I think
Absolutely.
we're connected by
Absolutely.
technology, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So the vastness of that sky and the lake in between, I think that was perfect. And in my paintings, I often add that sense of, well, this is something that many people have told me. So I'm telling you now that there is a sense of depth and,
Mm.
there's a foreground, midground kind of thing happening. So that's how I added it. It wasn't a picture as such, it was an inspiration from a walk.
It's it definitely captures or for me it captures the vastness, that distance between the two trees, and the one being larger, the smaller tree sort of like reaching out. it does feel, and then the colours also that sort of vast open space, um, which is
Yeah,
quite interesting. Yeah, it
and
almost feels a little post-apocalyptic as well. I don't know if any in a good way. I mean, like
in a
it
good
feels like yeah, in a good way.
yeah.
Like
Well, I've used
um,
metallic inks in it. So I've used silver and gold. So, like I said, the original was just glistening out.
mhm.
You could drink in that sun, the skies. It was just beautiful. But yeah, and I was sometimes I'm myself too happy with my paintings. I think I don't know about others, but uh, I was happy that the person who bought it was really in love with it as well. So
Excellent. Excellent. That's and no, I think it's good to be happy with your work. 100%. Absolutely. Um, okay, so I'm going to take a little. So we've done a little few sort of landscapes. I'm going to jump into this one here, which is totally different. I don't know if this got the title for this one. What's the title for this one?
yeah, so this was an evening in Venice,
Right. Okay.
and
So
yeah, go on.
yeah, no, tell us about it. I noticed you've got a few paintings in Venice. So tell us about
Yeah,
them.
so I did a series on Venice after I visited it a couple of times, and this series I did maybe 1.5 years ago. I started it, and then I finished it a year ago. And so I was doing this mastery in fine arts program and revisited the various medium again, from charcoal to oil paints and everything in between, using collage, etc. So like I told you before, I did have an interest in cityscapes, right? And like my parents were architects, so growing up, we would always be noticing different features of the buildings, the facades, the porticos, the columns, this, that, and the other. So going to Venice was a special birthday thing for us and for me. And I took loads of pictures. And Venice is like a dream for painters, isn't it? So I thought it would be nice to do my portfolio series on Venice. So I've used mixed media in here, and I've used pen and collage. So under the gondola, there's actually uh, one of my alcohol ink pieces underneath it. So in
Oh,
reality, when you saw it in the flesh, this picture, um, the alcohol inks were just so beautiful and glowing and vibrant. And then under the bridge, etc., it's more darker, and that's where the oil paints are. So that's how I've done this painting. And the idea was to focus on some important aspects, whilst leaving some to imagination. So there's a lot of pen work with the other buildings over there on the right hand side.
mhm.
What did what did you make of this painting, Richard?
I love it. It's great. And the bit, did you say uh, the bit underneath the boat, is that a collage? Is it? Is it
Yes, and
actually? So that's
actually the gondola, the boat itself, is on the collage as well.
right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that looks. It feels like I almost recognize that bit as well from other you know what I mean? In terms of I recognize it from the other pieces that I've looked at in
yeah,
the past. It's just
because I've put
it
some
comes through.
gold in. Yeah, you must have. And so there's I think looking at it now, I've thrown such a lot at it. So can you see the scribbles? It's
I was going
like
to
a
say the scribbles.
letter
Yeah.
from
What's that?
Venice, a letter from Venice coming out. And yeah,
Ah. Yeah.
so I mean, this whole series was bought last year itself
Right.
by a restaurant. And so I was really glad how beautifully, I mean, the paintings looked great. They were nice, large paintings, some of them, and they are in that restaurant even now. So it's nice. But I've now got this series up in the New Art Gallery.
Yes.
prints. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got all the and I recognize this one from the sort of the website. So we've got this one available as a print as well, which is
Yes.
great.
Only recently we put it up, David and I thought this would be a good idea.
Fantastic. Okay, let's look at I want to look at one more. We'll look at two more because there's two we need to choose from. I can't choose just one. So let's jump into backwards here a little bit.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
beautiful. I absolutely love this. Stepping into an enchanted journey.
Yes.
So
That
it's
I'm
just, yeah.
actually, if you want to see behind me, it's
Oh
right here.
wow, there it is.
Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah,
see it?
let me just if you what can you pick it up? Do you want to bring it closer or
I can take
yeah,
the
perfect. Let's
device
do that.
closer.
Let me stop sharing for a second because
Yeah.
there we go. Oh wow, there it is.
So it might show a few reflections because it's
That's
covered
okay,
with
yeah.
that. But yeah. And the autumnal one is right here as well. Look.
Brilliant.
So
They
these
look
are fairly
so much better
new.
in real life, don't they? I mean, they look fantastic anyway, but you appreciate it even through the camera. It's just
Oh, great,
it's
great.
fantastic, isn't it?
And this is another one that I might not have shown you, but it's got a lot of detailing look, and that's all with the flow of the inks and my hair dryer. Can you see
Excellent.
it?
Yeah, that's brilliant. But yeah, tell us about your inspiration about this one stepping into an enchanted journey.
Oh, yes.
Um,
So
let me just get it shared again. Yeah. So yeah, tell us
yeah.
all about it.
So like I said, I'm fascinated by trees within the inks, creating forest scenes at the moment. And when I was doing this, there just seemed to be like a natural division. Can you see how there's an opening?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is beautiful. And I thought that it's like stepping into the future for me and this journey that I'm on. It's my own enchanted journey that I'm on, really, since I've joined the world of paintings. So underneath, you can see the dappled kind of light on that path, taking you into the future. And like I just showed you in the actual painting, also, there's a lot of light and vibrancy. I've not done, sometimes you can do too much with inks and you lose the vibrancy, but I've tried to keep the darks dark and the lights light. And that's what's made this painting quite luminescent, actually. What
Yeah.
did you like about it?
That's
You
good.
said it was one of your favorites.
So it's funny because like whenever I go on a couple of different walks, there's one around here and then there's another one a little bit further away, and um they both have you're walking along and it's quite open and there's not many trees and there's fields, and then all of a sudden you come to it's a path, and then the trees reach over it, right?
Yeah.
And I always take a photo when I'm going, and so I've got photos of the same scene of a path going leading
Yeah.
into trees, and I've got it in different seasons as well, just because I
Mhm.
take a photograph on my phone, and I just can't help do that every time, and it just reminded me of those scenes, just like you say, a pathway into the future, the trees on the side, there's light at the end of the tunnel type thing, and it's just a journey.
Absolutely. And in a way, Richard, you have described my painting much better than I did, to be honest. But you see, when I go for walks, my phone has a lot of these pictures as well, like a canopy of trees, a
Yeah.
tunnel going through it. So these are things which do fascinate us as nature lovers. And when I'm sitting with the inks and the paper, these things emerge out without that plan, you know.
Mm.
So and it just feels so integral to me now that it's hard to even describe it. So thank you for describing it.
No,
But that
that's
was,
fine.
I guess, to go into the future.
Yeah, that's it. It's beautiful. Yeah, I could look at that for hours, certainly.
And the
Let
framing, when I took it to the framer also, she was also so taken by it. She took charge of it, and she said, no, 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 this is the color of the mount it needs and the size it needs and everything. So yeah, I think it's a really beautiful statement piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's do one more, and then I've got a couple more questions.
Okay.
So I think we'll go. Let's go with this one here.
Okay.
This is the red bamboo.
Yes. So this is also part of my mixed media series. Okay. I did a
Okay.
series on Journey to the Tropics earlier this year. No, I think towards the end of last year, because I had traveled to Bali. And like I said, I'm originally from India anyway. So we have a lot of this foliage, and bamboo is a favorite kind of thing. So when I was in Bali, in my resort, there was of course, a lot of green bamboo, but then there was a clump of red bamboos as well. And it's supposed to be quite um, sacred also, the bamboo tree, because it represents life, because it grows very fast, etc. So that's why I have done this painting. And I chose orange in this series because just the colors. I mean, I didn't want to do a yellow. I was um, orange. It's like a very colorful country, and in my headspace, the orange is a color of fun.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
so many of the pieces in that series are orange in background. And the little work you see there with the gold foil, that's like an adornment. In Bali, the house might be modest, but they have a little temple next to the house, and it's all gilded. There are many columns and courtyards, etc. And then there will be a little inner sanctum. But all of these walls and columns, etc., they have little gold kind of embellishments. So
that's where that comes from.
yeah, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I noticed them, and then now you've talked about them, it's like, yeah, your eyes nicely drawn to it, and
Yeah, I mean, like Venice, I could have gone into important buildings and done a feature of that. But I do sometimes wonder, whilst I'm inspired by travel, in terms of collectors connecting with it, n- people who have not been to Bali may not really um, identify with those buildings, etc. So this was just bringing a little bit of that touch to an otherwise the painting is more about trees and plants. So this series I've done inspired by Bali, but more or less rooted in the natural um, trees and birds and plants.
good in the natural world.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's excellent. I love it, and it's a good point to go onto my next question, which was, your background. How's that, your cultural background? How's that inspired your work? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so like you can see, I'm not frightened by color.
Yeah, very bright, vibrant.
Yeah, because I think in India, yellow, orange, right next to green, blue, they sit
Yeah.
quite comfortably and happily, and have done so for generations. Like the saris or the traditional fabrics, etc. They have those color combinations. So I grew up and seeing them and loving them, um, and I know that. Um, when I can appreciate other people not liking it or not or feeling more muted is the way to go. And on a head level, I know that. But when I paint, and when I've painted understated colors or much more reflective of the British skies we have, and therefore more sober colors, etc.,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not fully enthused me. And then I think, well, if I'm not enthusiastic about my own painting, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boss.
So, so I have continued to use brighter colors, and uh, I mean, now I use it in a sophisticated way where it won't be whole pictures won't be bright. There will be more desaturated colors as well towards the edges, and the focus will be more bright. So anyway, that is one definite influence I have. And the other is, I think, in my work, like I said, I use some principles. So back in India, the art that comes from India, um, there is very much respect for realism. And I know there are abstract painters also, but mostly the amount of detailed work people can put in, the better. The more realistic you can make it, the better. So, as a result of that, when I was younger, I used to sketch a lot more. And so my proportions and those principles are in place. I think the perspectives and how to compose a good picture, those things are there. So they do come up. So even if I wanted to, I can't splash paint about like some people do. Uh, you know, it does puzzle me. uh, so I have tried. I mean, as artists, we are primarily, I think, we are explorers and adventurers. So I've tried those adventures, but I've not really felt too happy with those efforts. So w- what you see is, even with the inks, I was initially doing abstracts, but I've come round to doing the landscapes more. And sometimes, like I do still, I don't know if you can see, I yeah. So this is with the inks, but then I've added a little bird here. That's
Oh
going
yes.
to be my new series. Yeah, so I'm just practicing some birds. I did this morning. This is in
Nice.
pastels.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the colours. The colours are great. It's you're right in terms of it's funny. You said that the difference in sort of like the colours in India very very vibrant, and then the more sober colours that we have in this country, like you know, they're not as bright. You've got there's some beautiful colours in nature, but you still manage to keep that vibe or get that vibrancy into those paintings of the ones that you've done of the Yorkshire landscapes, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I hope
And I
my
bet, yeah.
paintings are not too bright or too loud.
Well,
Um,
I don't think so anyway.
maybe the Bali series is the brightest I have got, but even that is understated when you actually look at it, because there are different layers going on. Yeah, so the idea is to to celebrate color a little bit, not sort of be afraid of it. But like you saw in that autumnal thing, the purples, they were there to keep the oranges down in that forest floor. You remember, you
Yeah,
noticed.
yes, of course.
So that
Right, yeah,
was
yeah,
a color, but n- just more orange wouldn't have helped. So
yeah.
that's why I gave it one shade down, which is the purple. So yeah, that's how I use the color now to bring tonality within that painting. And I've, in the last 4 5 years, I've interacted with so many people at art fairs and art markets, etc. It is fascinating how people respond to color. I mean, some people just walk past. This is not for me, I'm going. But that's like maybe 1 out of 10. The remaining just come in, they stand in my stall, and wow, I love this color. They may not
Yeah.
buy it, but they're enjoying it. And I think that still makes me happy because I think life is tough sometimes. And just having so much color around in a nice way,
Yeah.
not because my frames are often understated black or just white or something, so it does pull things in. I do pull things in a little bit, but people respond to color beautifully. And so many people have they may not be sure about buying a whole piece right in one go, but they have bought smaller ones and lived with it and come back to buy bigger pieces. So that's nice.
Excellent.
So I really feel that I've made color a little bit more acceptable to some people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on something there that I thought was really good, is that it makes you happy when people experience that color.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And some people have just stood there and said described it like a color shower.
mm,
So so it's like maybe I'll just have some wind chimes and let them enjoy it and go out.
yeah, just to chill out for a bit. That's
Because when I used to do more abstracts, they were larger pieces, and you can imagine the color running and with gold in it. And beautiful, I think. So, I mean, very unusual, I would say, in what we see compared to the rest of the work that people are exhibiting. Um, so definitely in England, I think, and it took me a while to appreciate that it was different and that people would respond to it differently. Um, so I quite enjoy finding the people who connect with my art now, because I think, oh well, here's somebody who understands what I'm trying to do. So yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. And with that, then I think the final question from me is that you've managed to balance, a career and two careers. Your first career in healthcare you mentioned, and then your art career as an artist. Have you got any advice for anyone who wants to, they've got their day job, but they have a passion as well. And it might not be art, it might be writing, it might be, anything creative. How did you balance that? And what advice could you give to people who want to pursue their passion?
Yeah, I think first thing is to find your passion, because many people go through life just doing what is necessary first and foremost, which is career, isn't it? And I mean, I know that there is a trend now that youngsters get time to find themselves, but still, um, to understand what is your passion itself is an interesting question, isn't it? And I think when I was younger, I was interested in dancing also, and I was interested in art also, and this also, that also. And my parents did curtail it, and they said, well, first things first, you can do this later. And thankfully, I did listen to their advice, and I did have a career and everything else, and something else, and which is quite meaningful to me as well. So that was good. So, and with that foundation, then, like I said, 10 years ago, I picked up the brush again.
Mm.
Um, and I think for me, I could have continued doing various classes and learned and done a lot more paintings, but then I wanted to discover something and create something new. So I started this, and that then became my passion. And when I held my exhibitions and I raised money for charity, I thought, wow, uh, this is really a very good way of living life. So I do hold classes for people now in my studio, and I do about 4, 5 in traditional painting and 3, 4 in alcohol inks every year. And it's amazing. 4, 5 people have gone on to take up the brush more and start painting more. And so the idea is having a balance in life is very important. And, we all have a career and family, friends, all those things, but they are always taking things out, and, there's a functionality about it in some ways. And this is about enjoying yourself. So if you take it in that spirit, it is very good. Sometimes I would add a word of caution that with the painting, you create so much, you start thinking, what is it doing just sat here in my room? It starts getting a bit depressing. So you start wanting to sell this or that, and it can be a different journey completely, you know. So it's one thing to create something and get benefit and enjoyment out of it, but then if you're focused on selling it, then that can become a different journey altogether. So enjoy it, find your passion, because that will give you a lovely sense of balance in your life, some me time for yourself. It's like a wellness thing for yourself. But it can be the opposite if you get too stressed about it.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
now I've done this, what do I do with it? I need to bring this, I need to, it can get frustrating also. So watch yourself. And the other thing is, painting does take a lot of my time. And so I don't do as much socializing as some of my other friends do. But I'm okay with that, because I think that's fine. I can do that later also. Right now, I'm enjoying this. So I try to balance it. But it can be a solitary activity. And people move on, they stop calling you sometimes because you keep saying no. It can happen. So you have to be ready for all that. But in the main, it is good to do something apart from your main work. And
yes,
it adds that sense of achievement as well. So
fantastic advice.
This class that I just did, I could show you the painting. Shall I?
Yes, yeah, we've got a couple of minutes. Yeah, go for it.
Very quickly.
Oh, wow.
So we started from scratch, and it was a 4-hour class. There was a girl 10 years old, and so from 10 years old to 50 plus, and they all had similar results in 5 hours. Okay. And the sense of achievement they had, it was so good to see. And that is something that art can do to people, to have a white canvas and to transform it into something like that. It's really great. So it's a me time. They were away from their family and friends. They could just focus on the task, enjoy the music that I always put, and roll with it.
That's fantastic. That's very inspirational in itself, Minu. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's that we've come to the end, sadly, but thank you very much for joining us. Very quickly, obviously, your work is available, or some of your work is available on newartgallery.co.uk. Some of the originals are sold, but we've got all the prints as well. But where else can people find you, Minu?
So I have a website, which is www.artbyminu.co.uk. And I'm also in a couple of galleries. And yeah, but the paintings are on my website. So if you're interested in them, please let me know and I can contact the galleries.
Perfect. Well, that's all we have time for.
Instagram as well, if anyone wants to join.
Instagram, of course. What's your Instagram handle?
It is Art Minu. Nice and
Art
simple.
Minu. Perfect. Thank you very much, Minu. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.